Jumping Jack Flash by the Rolling Stones. That's the song we're going to do today because most of you know that the Rolling Stones a couple of weeks ago released a new album, the first in 18 years or so, I think it is. So what could be better than to do an old classic and show you how to play this beautiful rock and roll song on the guitar. Now, there were two ways to play it. There's a regular tuning version and a open G tuning. Let's start with the open G tuning. Now, first of all, you just want to know how to get into the open G tuning, yeah? So let's say we have a regular tuned guitar. Hold on. Like this. What you want to do is you play the A string and it needs to be the same as the G string. So here we go. There you go. And then lastly, the top E string needs to be the same as the D string. So you want to compare those two. Now the bottom string we're not going to play at all, so you don't have to bother with that. Then we're going to use a capo, 4th fret. And you never want to use the capo like this because it's going to get in the way, so always the other way around. And you might want to do a little bit of retuning because it might be a little off with the capo. So let's have a listen. There you go. Now, first of all, we need to be able to play the main riff. When you listen to the record, there's this intro, but the Stones, Keith Richards, when he plays the song live, he never plays the intro. He just starts with the main riff. So here's the main riff. It's another one of those riffs that you don't need to play very subtle. Sometimes he sort of bends the last index finger as well for an extra raunchy sound. You can do whatever you want. So what is he playing here? Well, 2 strums on the open strings, but it's very important to mute the bottom string because otherwise it's gonna sound terrible, right? So muting the bottom string and then 2 strums downwards. And then right there you can tell it's not exactly as it should be if you're just gonna do 2 strums. There needs to be a little rest, a bit of silence in between. So that's where we're gonna use the palm of the hand. So in between, just put the palm of your hand on the strings and then let go and do another strum. There we go. Then we have the ring finger, 5th fret on the A string. And then it's the D and G string, open strings. And finally the index finger, 3rd fret, D and G string. So it's... not very complex, is it? Together with the 2 strums. That's it. And then repeat the last melody. 3 times in total. And that's the whole riff. Then of course we have the famous chorus. And there we have just simple chords. Start with the index finger. What could be simpler than that, right? So it's the 3rd fret, considering this is like 0, we have the capo here. All the way up to the 10th fret, 5th, and back to the open strings. Now if you just play the index finger and do nothing else, then it's a bit repetitive and boring. So what you want to do is to play this little embellishment here. And the beauty is you can use this little trick anywhere on the fretboard with the index finger. You can tell right away Keith Richards wrote dozens of songs using this technique. Now, how does he do that? Well, starting on the 3rd fret, you want to use the middle finger, 4th fret on the B string, and together also the ring finger 5th fret on the D string. There you go. Then you want to add a little rhythm. Da 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 ga ga da. Da da ga ga da. Yeah, that's sort of a good rhythm to start with. Now there is also one little alternative. Instead of using the ring finger on the D string, you can also put that ring finger on the G string. Slightly different sound. You can tell it sounds slightly different. First embellishment. Other one. Both sound equally nice, right? And the trick, of course, is to mix things up. So, starting on the 3rd fret. There is this little melody in between, which is nice to play on the open strings, that goes like this. So if we use that little melody, then it's gonna sound as follows. Now finally, there's one more part left, and that's the bridge and also the outro. Very simple, it's just the index finger doing all the work here. And that's how you play Jumping Jack Flash on a guitar with the open G tuning. Now, of course, if you don't want to go into this open G tuning and it's just too much of a hassle, then you can also play the song with a regular tuning. Whether you play it on a guitar that's an open G or in regular tuning, it's gonna sound fantastic, right? Now, if you have a guitar in the regular tuning, then you can also play the actual intro like you hear on the record, right? And that's like this. And so on. So the rhythm, very straightforward. Long notes. But then there are those 16th notes. That slight acceleration in the rhythm. And to play something like that, you need a very loose and flexible wrist. Otherwise, it's not going to sound as you want it. So very loose. It's like the dead fish handshake, right? That feeling. That's what you need to be able to pull it off. B chord and those strums. Same thing, very loose and flexible wrist. Now for the main riff, we're going to use a B power chord. Again, be very sure to mute the 2 top strings as well as the bottom strings. So the only sound you hear is what you're actually pushing on the fretboard. Then it's... Notice I use the thumb. The 3rd time, the last time, I'm not going to play that A power chord because then it's too difficult to get back to this B power chord. So the last time, it's just the open A string. So I can go back. So here's the riff. Like that. Now for the chorus, it's just simple chords, D, A, E, and back to the B bar chord. D, A, E. nice to have that little melody, remember? When you get to this B chord. Now, in order to do that, you want to switch from using the index finger to this Hendrix style of playing and using the thumb. Muting the A string. And a slight little bar here with the index finger. And that allows me to play that melody. Pinky? It's too much to use this whole B chord, you could just get rid of the thumb. Play it like that. So that makes... That's it. You can go back to the regular power chord, Actually a little bit better because we have this extra A string. And then last but not least, of course, we have the bridge, just power chords, and then we're all done. And there you go. Absolute classic, one of the best rock songs ever put on record as far as I'm concerned. Let's see if we can play the song together. Let's play the open G tuning with the capo, right? The way the song is played by Keith Richards on stage. And if you need the tabs, remember you can go to my Patreon site. Grab your guitar, here we go.